I destroyed the two people who meant the most to me. I cheated emotionally and physically once, on my long-distance boyfriend with the first real friend I ever made, and now I'm drowning in guilt, grief, and a loneliness. What should I do now? I have a sweet, long-distance boyfriend. We've been together for almost a year now, and I truly love him. He's kind, patient, and everything I could ask for. But lately, I've done something I can't quite forgive myself for. In late September, I reconnected with someone I knew back in middle school, a guy I'll call A. We hadn't spoken in years, but somehow we clicked immediately. It started as casual chatting, then hanging out every so often, and before I realized it, we were seeing each other almost every day. It felt so easy, so natural, and yet it started putting a strain on my relationship. My boyfriend warned me early on. He's had bad experiences before, and he told me straight up that A gave off bad vibes, that he seemed too nice. I brushed it off. I don't have much experience with friendships, especially not in-person ones. I thought my boyfriend was just being protective, maybe even jealous. I didn't think it meant any harm. Looking back, maybe I was just naive, or, honestly, a bit of an idiot. When we first started hanging out, A brought his sister and mother to a movie. That made me feel safe. It was a group thing, nothing sketchy. The next time, it was him and his sister again. It wasn't until our third hangout that it was just the two of us. By then, it felt totally normal. The thing is, I hadn't really gone out before him. I live a quiet life. The only time I'd leave the house before was with my cousin every other week after payday. A started showing me the world outside my comfort zone. He'd drive me places, introduce me to new foods, and just let me feel like a person again. We'd eat together, go on little adventures, sit in his car watching movies or shows. He let me pick two of my favorite movies, and in return, he made a list of anime he wanted us to watch together. We'd buy each other small things, snacks, little trinkets, whatever reminded us of the other. He liked taking pictures of the places we went, and sometimes of me. I usually hate being photographed, but somehow, the photos he took, I actually liked them. I looked happy. I've always been bad at making friends, not just shy, but the kind of person who freezes up around people and never quite knows what to say. Conversations are hard, social settings drain me, and I've always felt a little too awkward for everyone else's rhythm. Most people don't get that about me. I embarrass myself easily, stumble over words, laugh too hard at the wrong moments. So when I do make a genuine connection, it feels like a miracle. My circle is small, one best friend from childhood who lives in another state, and two others I rarely see or talk to because they're scattered across different countries. I love them deeply, but there's always that distance. So when I met someone I could actually see in person, someone who made me feel comfortable in real time, it was like discovering color in a world that had always been gray. We shared the same taste in music. We'd trade songs, make playlists, and sit in his car blasting tunes until the windows shook. He didn't judge my weird little obsessions, even when my interests didn't match his. In fact, he indulged them. He loved showing me new things, places, food, experiences, and watching my reactions like it made him happy to see me happy. It was simple, but for me, it meant everything. We had this easy, playful dynamic I'd never had before. I could tease him, gently hit his arm when he said something stupid, and he'd laugh it off, teasing me right back. It was lighthearted, effortless, fun. The kind of friendship I'd always secretly wanted, but never thought I'd be brave enough to have. Since I'm so shy and anxious, he naturally took the lead in everything. Ordering food, talking to waiters, asking for directions, all the little things that usually send me spiraling. With him, I didn't feel embarrassed about it. I didn't feel like a burden. I just felt safe. And for someone like me, that's rare. Going out is usually stressful. I'm always hyper-aware of myself, convinced I'm being too much or too little. But with A, it was like the noise in my head quieted down. I could just be. He was always respectful, too, maybe even overly cautious. He'd never touch me without reason. If I got too close to the road, he'd guide me back with just the lightest brush of his hand, like he was afraid of crossing a line. It was thoughtful in a way that made me feel seen. The last time we hung out, though, something shifted. I tripped and fell, classic me, and he immediately blamed himself. He kept apologizing, saying he should have been paying more attention. I laughed it off, trying to comfort him, and, without thinking, I wrapped an arm around him. It was nothing, just a friendly gesture, but when I tried to touch his arm again later, he joked, half serious, "Don't touch me." It caught me off guard. I didn't know what he meant, if he was teasing or actually uncomfortable. That night, I texted him apologizing, saying I could stop doing things like that if it made him uneasy. That's when everything came out. He admitted he liked me. He said he hadn't meant to, that it just happened. That all those little things I thought were harmless, the teasing, the laughing, the closeness, meant something different to him. He told me that when I touched him, even playfully, it meant more than I realized. And in that moment, my stomach dropped. Because suddenly, every memory, every inside joke, every look felt rewritten. I'd been clinging to this friendship like it was the one place I could finally breathe without guilt, and now it was tainted by something I hadn't meant to invite. Here's where everything fell apart, and where I realized feelings aren't as simple as I used to think they were. Somewhere along the way, I developed a crush on him. It wasn't sudden, not some lightning bolt moment where I just knew. It was gradual, quiet, confusing, and honestly, terrifying. I didn't want to admit it at first. I told myself it was just admiration, that I was just excited to finally have someone I could connect with in person. But the more time we spent together, the harder it became to deny that the way I smiled when I saw his name pop up on my phone wasn't just friendly excitement. I love my boyfriend deeply. He's kind, sweet, patient, everything I thought I could ever want. But we're different. We don't always see things the same way. Our interests diverge, our stances clash, and sometimes our conversations feel like we're talking from two different worlds. That's not necessarily bad. It's just distant. And I started to wonder if maybe the reason I developed feelings for my friend was because he filled that space because we aligned in a way my boyfriend and I didn't. I didn't want to lie. I wanted to be honest, even if it made things harder. So I told my boyfriend. I told him about the crush, the confusion, the guilt. Then I told my friend too. It felt like exhaling after holding my breath for months. I explained that maybe I'd just mistaken the warmth of a friendship I'd never had for something else. That maybe it wasn't romantic. Maybe I was just starved for connection. Still, my boyfriend and I made a plan. We agreed my friend and I wouldn't see each other until our pre-planned hangout, a concert we'd already bought tickets for. And then, after that, we'd take a full month break. No contact. No texting. No seeing each other. But before that break started, we saw each other one last time to talk things through. It was supposed to be closure, an honest conversation, face to face, before putting space between us. Except during that meeting, he kissed me. It wasn't long, and I didn't expect it. I froze. My mind was split. Part of me shocked, part of me wishing it hadn't happened, part of me hating that it did. When I got home, I told my boyfriend right away. I wanted to be transparent, even though I knew how much it would hurt him. And it did. After that, everything changed. My boyfriend told me I couldn't see or talk to my friend again. Not ever. He wanted me to end it firmly, to be angry, to tell my friend off for crossing that line. But I couldn't, because even though he hurt me too, even though that kiss ruined everything we had built, he was still my friend. I know I was wrong in so many ways. Looking back now, I can see all the small cracks that turned into deep fractures. All because I didn't listen when I should have, because I was blinded by how happy I felt for the first time in a long time. When my friend and I started hanging out more often, my boyfriend told me, gently at first, that he wasn't comfortable with how close we were getting. He didn't like how often I was seeing him, almost every day, and how quickly that friendship had taken over my time. I brushed it off, convincing myself that it was temporary, that it would die down naturally. I told myself things would go back to normal soon, that I'd be spending more time with my boyfriend again, so it was fine. But I was lying to him and to myself. The truth is, I was just happy. I hadn't felt that kind of joy and ease in years. Every time my friend and I went out, it was exciting, effortless. I felt free from the heaviness that usually clung to me. And in chasing that feeling, I stopped noticing the way my boyfriend's messages slowed down, or how my replies came later and later, shorter and shorter. I didn't realize how much space I was giving someone new, and how much I was taking away from someone who had always been there for me. One day, I was watching shows with both my boyfriend and my best friend online, when my friend messaged asking if I wanted to run a quick errand with him for work during his break. It was supposed to be 15 minutes. Without really thinking, I told my boyfriend I'd be right back and left. I came back later that night, but the damage was done. He was hurt. He said it felt like I dropped everything for my friend, like I couldn't wait to leave him behind. My boyfriend has struggled with suicidal thoughts for years, and I knew that. I knew how delicate his heart was, how much he relied on me for comfort and stability. But when I was with my friend, I didn't text, didn't call, didn't check in the way I used to. I kept telling myself I'd make it up to him later, that this happiness I was chasing wasn't hurting anyone. I was wrong. There was a day when my boyfriend didn't text me at all while I was out with my friend. I noticed, but I didn't say anything. Later, he told me that he'd stopped messaging me on purpose. He wanted to see if I'd notice, if I'd worry about him the way he worried about me. He said he wanted me to care, to be protective of him, to show him affection, to remind him that I loved him. But instead, he said I sounded colder, distant, like my warmth had shifted somewhere else. He asked me to do better, to text him when I could, even if it was just a few messages while I was in the bathroom or had a moment alone. I agreed. I told him I'd try harder. But when those moments came, I didn't always follow through. Once, I went to the bathroom during a hangout but saw that he was hanging out with his friend, so I didn't reach out. I told myself it wasn't a good time. I didn't realize he was waiting for me to prove that I still cared. He also asked me to pause hangouts sometimes, to step away for a few minutes just to talk, to make him feel like I was still choosing him, even in small ways. I told him I would if it was an emergency, if he really needed me. But otherwise, I didn't want to interrupt what I was doing. The truth is, I've had my own insecurities with him before. I've struggled when he's gone out with his friends or been busy. I've had moments where I felt invisible. But I never wanted to be the one who interrupted or demanded attention. I wanted to be understanding. I thought I was doing the same thing, being reasonable, being fair. But it wasn't fair to him. Because when he needed reassurance, I gave him silence. When he needed my time, I gave it to someone else. When he was asking for connection, I told him to wait, that I'd get to him later. He was hurting, and I was too wrapped up in my own joy to see it. He told me he didn't feel like he was being prioritized, and he was right. I've been a terrible partner. Hearing the pain in his voice when he said it shattered me. He laid everything out, all the ways I had made him feel small, forgotten, and unimportant, and I couldn't even defend myself. Every word he said was true. So I agreed. I told him I wouldn't see my friend again. I meant it. I knew it was the right thing to do. But even doing the right thing feels unbearable. I can't stop crying. It's like I'm mourning two things at once, the relationship I hurt and the friendship I lost. I feel sick every time I think about it. I feel guilty for the kiss, for the crush, for how carelessly I let things spiral. I feel guilty for the way I made my boyfriend feel unwanted, for every moment I let him sit in silence while I laughed with someone else. I feel guilty for missing my friend at all. Every thought feels wrong. Every emotion feels like a betrayal. It's destroying me how much I miss him. I miss our conversations, our stupid jokes, our comfort. I miss how easy it felt to talk to him, something I never had with anyone else in person. Now, everything reminds me of him. A song we both liked, a snack we tried, a street we drove down. I see pieces of him everywhere. When I'm at work, I'll be doing fine for a few minutes, and then I'll see or hear something that brings him rushing back. I've had to excuse myself to the bathroom just to cry in silence. Sometimes I press my hands over my face, so no one hears me. Yesterday, I hung out with my cousin, and even that was hard. Every little thing, a song playing in the background, a word someone said, pulled me back to something he and I once laughed about. I had to keep swallowing down the tears, smiling through the ache in my chest. It feels like someone's carved a hole in me, and no matter what I do, I can't fill it. The worst part is that, even though I'm so broken over this, I can't shake the thought that maybe I was naive all along. That maybe he had intentions from the very start. That maybe all the kindness and excitement he showed me were just ways to get close, to cross a line. It hurts even more to think that what I thought was genuine friendship might have been something else entirely, that I was just too stupid, too trusting, to see it. Maybe I was too eager for connection, too desperate to be liked. Maybe I deserve all of this. He messaged me recently to apologize for everything. I read it a dozen times before deleting it. I didn't reply, but the words lingered anyway. He said he never meant to cause pain, that he was sorry for putting me in a bad position. It only made me cry harder. I keep thinking about my boyfriend, about how much I hurt him. The sound of his voice when he realized I had kissed someone else replays in my head like a punishment. I never want to hear that kind of pain from him again. I don't want to lose him. I love him. But in not losing him, I've lost something else I can't seem to stop grieving. I don't know how long I'll feel this way. I don't know when the guilt and sadness will stop swallowing me whole. Every day feels like trying to balance on a wire between heartbreak and remorse. I can't stop crying. I can't stop missing him. And I can't stop wishing I could undo everything. Even though I know I can't. What should I do now? Advice are so much welcome, please do.